Hello, hello. Give me 1 minute here. Close the closet drawers here. So you don't see my mess. Facebook is sure having trouble with live streaming. Some of you have probably seen in your notifications this morning that Facebook is going to be discontinuing live streaming in groups. So we're going to have to come up with a different solution. We may be using YouTube a lot more. Okay. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So in case that's where we have to be live at. Of course, I think I can go live on the business page as well. So that could be an option too. So be sure to follow my business page, Julie Severco Coaching. Okay. All right. Today we're going to talk about building a thriving real estate business. And I know it's, in this market, you probably can't even imagine that, right? You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. You know, I don't know about you, but I anticipated this market. Okay. If you've been in this business any length of time, you've probably experienced one or two, if not more, of this type of a market. And I have learned from experience, right, that building your own inner circle, your own sphere of influence is going to be the best way that you will be able to survive a turbulent market. Okay. Good morning, Kim. How are you? How are you? And I don't see this Facebook user name, but hello. How are you? Okay. So we are definitely talking about building, a network in a really rough market. Okay. And this is what's going to help you survive. I'll tell you some more stories about myself too. And this is how, this is how things evolve. All right. In 2021, we had a boom, didn't we? And then what follows a boom is the opposite. And that's what we're experiencing now. Okay. So in order to get some footing in the last recession this happened in, right? Everybody hates to hear about, oh, the war, this isn't 2008. How many times did we hear that in 2021 that this isn't 2008? Well, it is. Let me tell you, it's circular. It happens all the time. Okay. So what we did in 2008 was we had to figure out how to expand our network, how to get eyes on our brand in the best cost effective way. Okay. That's the strategy. That's the goal. 2008, I don't even think we had Facebook yet. Okay. So it's a whole different world out there comparatively, but the concept, the strategies, they don't change, right? You have to expand your business by expanding your email list, by expanding your audience. You build the audience, you make the offer, and then you convert them to sales, right? This isn't a pull the trigger and I'm going to buy a house today decision, is it? People think about buying a piece of property. They will prepare themselves for buying a piece of property. So there is a huge, long ramp up that you need to be able to keep in these people's lives, in your network, and be able to sustain that activity until they're ready to raise their hand, right? And say, I'm ready to sell or buy. Okay. So how do you do that? How do you do that? You have to think to yourself, how do you do that? And if you say in your mind, well, my CRM does that automatically, I want you to have some big red flags going up in your head right now. Because if all you've got is your broker's CRM or even your own CRM, and that's what you think your automation needs to be, and that's the extent of it, you're missing the boat. All right. You got so many holes in your pipeline, you don't even know where to begin. Right. And you're wondering, where the hell is all my business? Because you haven't built a solid relationship with those people. They're just in your database. They're in your CRM. You don't know what to do with them. You don't know how to engage with them. You don't know what to say to them. You don't know how to take that relationship to the next level. Right. That's where you need to focus. That's where you need to focus and decide what you're going to put your stake in the ground with and what you're going to be able to do consistently, that you can touch these people's lives for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years. You have to think longer than, oh, if they're not buying a property right now, then there's no reason for me to call them. Okay? Because that is the type of mentality that is going to sink your ship in a market that we've got coming ahead of us. We're just touching the tip. Okay? We are just beginning to feel the squeeze. Some of you probably felt it last year, but it was so subtle, you really disregarded it, didn't you? You know, you're just sitting there all of last year wondering where the business is, and you're not doing anything about it. Okay? You need to start moving forward. All right? If you are slow today, it's because you slowed down, right? You slowed down. You stopped having closings last year, so you stopped marketing. You think that posting on your personal news feed is going to cut it, but it's not. Okay? It's a whole new world out there to be able to build a thriving real estate business. I'm just a one-horse show, but I am busy as shit. Okay? So if you're not busy, it's because you've stopped. You've stopped doing the activities that require you to build relationships with your audience. Okay? That is a 24-hour-a-day job as far as I'm concerned, because if anybody reaches out to you and touches you, that is your opportunity, right? You have to build the relationship. You have to get those people out of the cloud, out of social media, and onto your email list. And then when they're onto your email list, you can build that relationship so that they can move onto your mailing address. Yes, physical mailing address. I'm not talking about bulk mail. I'm not talking about bulk email. I'm not talking about drip email campaigns, because that shit is what's killing your business. If you are relying on drip email campaigns and that's all you got going on for you, you're killing your business, right? You are just killing your business. All right? So stop. Just stop. You have to think of a different way. You have to explore a different way. There's definitely a different way to do that. And it's, so simple. It's so simple. Okay? Right? So there you have it. I mean, if you want to build a thriving business today, because let me tell you what, this is just March. Okay? This is just March of 2024. And we've got a long road ahead of us in this year. It's an election year. It's not going to be pretty. Okay. All right. You'll have all kinds of excuses waiting for this election to end. And you'll have all kinds of excuses for interest rates. Buyers are going to come to realize that interest rates aren't going to go away. Buyers seem to think that interest rates are going to come down in a year. I can tell you from experience, it'll take a decade. It will take a decade at least before we see interest rates under 5% again. That's my prediction based on my experience. Okay? This ship does not turn around fast. You can't turn an economy around on a dime. Okay? Can you imagine if they just dropped the rate to 5% today? What would that happen? What would happen? It would be utter chaos. They couldn't do it. They can't do it that fast. And they're still not finished slowing this down. Okay? So think about these things, and you have to build that into your strategy. You have to be able to think more long term. You have to think about different opportunities. We took the opportunity in 2008 and 2009 where we were in that flux. This is that flux that happens where, of course, back then we were dealing with a plethora of inventory versus today we're dealing with no inventory. Okay. But, okay, listen, And with you have a plethora of inventory, we had to think outside the box to sell property. And guess what? You have to think outside the box to sell property today. All right. Some markets across the United States aren't experiencing multiple offers anymore, unless it's priced really right. Unless it's a bargain, it's not going to fly off the shelf. I mean, even as a rental. I mean, I was talking with one of my my friends in Orlando. She's an Orlando agent. She's got a piece of property she's trying to get rented out. Well, this owner wants, first, last, and deposit. You have to think outside the box, because if you got a rent for $3,200, this potential tenant needs to come up with $8,400 to get into a rental. They might as well buy. All right. They might as well just buy. You have to make things easy. So in this type of a market, it's got to be priced right. If it's not priced right, if it's not a bargain, it's going to sit. Some parts of the markets are still flying off the shelf. Some of them aren't. All right. Some areas, some sellers still think that they can get top market value for something that isn't polished. So we're in that flux. Okay. When we were in that flux, we had to think outside the box. And that's when I started property management, because I had to fill a void for my customers, right? We had a lot of customers. We had a lot of prospects. There were very qualified buyers, and, 60% off on real estate. They were ready to pull the trigger and buy a new home, but they still had their current property. They certainly weren't going to short sale it. All right. So that's when we thought outside the box and we started property management, because they needed to hold those properties for a decade, nearly a decade. They ended up holding those properties, until they had an equity position so that they could sell them. That was instant inventory for me. That's thinking outside the box. You have to think out the box. You have to do something different. All right. You have to do something different. And you can start out very small. You don't have to, you don't have to pull the trigger on thousands and thousands of dollars of tools and programs. You can really just start out small, but you have to decide what you're willing to put your stake in the ground with, and be consistent with. Okay. Now, if you know me, I have a $200 course that can absolutely walk you through setting up an entire pipeline. The pipeline I have used for myself for 10, 15 years. Same strategy, same concept. It's a very tight pipeline, right? When I was counseling with some of our members in the membership group, okay, for $75 a month, you can plug in and get some ideas and get moving in a different direction, right? Why you don't do that, I don't know. Why you sit here and struggle, I don't know. Get plugged in, invest in yourself. That's the only way you're going to get out of the slump and into something different. You have to do something different for your business. Okay. So you see my emails every week. You see my offers. You can jump in anytime. All right. But you have to do something different. You cannot just be sitting on the sidelines anymore, because it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. You have to focus on doing something different than what the norm is that they teach you. I find this so interesting. All of this crap that has come out with the commissions and the lawsuit and everything else. That's big box thinking. And everything that's come about for that. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to bring politics in, but that's big box thinking. You have to think outside that big box. That's my point here. You have to think outside that big box. All right. And do your own thing. Do your own thing. That's the way you're going to survive. Okay. I think I'm stepping off my soapbox here, right? Any good questions? What are you guys doing with your businesses? What are you doing? Are you doing something different this year? You can't just knock on doors. You can't just, even targeted Facebook ads have changed, right? We're supposed to talk about targeting Facebook ads today, so let's do that since we're here. But even targeted Facebook ads have changed. I don't think it's any, I don't think it's effective at all, right? To run ads, of course, for buyers. You certainly don't want to invest money in buyer ads, right? You need to start pre-marketing yourself as a listing agent. I don't care who you are, what stage of your business in, you are what you put out in your marketing message. Okay. So you need to curve your marketing message and correct course right now and focus towards sellers. So I wouldn't even put out a targeting ad right now towards buyers at all. I haven't marketed for buyers in over 2 years. Okay. I worked with one buyer last year and one buyer the year before. It's been a long time since I have put a marketing message out towards buyers. Okay. Let alone invest any money in it. But this is the conversation we're having in the membership group. I've had 14 listing opportunities since January 1. I'm just a one-horse show in a Hobunk town. Okay. I'm not in a big city, right? I don't have the population. I'm not in California. I'm not in New York. I'm in the South, and I am in Mayberry town, just Mayberry, USA, where I think a lot of us live, right? A lot of us, right? When you look at those listing opportunities, most of them came from, 8 of them came from my sphere of influence, and other small sources, right? I have very limited sources, so I knew exactly where they came from, because I have a very tight funnel. Okay. So, if you're not busy, it's because you've decided not to be busy in your business. If you're not busy sending 5 cards a day to your audience, you're not busy. If you're not busy crafting at least one personal email a week to your audience, you're not busy. If you're not busy, I've got a friend that we work with, Angie. She is put a stake in the ground. She's going to text 20 people a day out of her phone. We all have a phone in our hands that has hundreds of people in our lives right on our phone. We just fail to reach out and touch them. You have to make that decision that you're going to put your stake in the ground and do something consistently. So she's decided 20 texts a day. She's reaching out to old friends, old contacts, just saying hello, engaging in conversation, but she's doing one thing smart. She is moving them from the text on her phone to her email list, right? That's the strategy behind what you have to think about. You don't want to just do something for the sake of doing something without a strategy behind it, because then you're just a hamster in a wheel, just doing this 20 texts a day with no strategy. That's a hamster in a wheel. It's like trying to do 3 reels a day. I'm going to ask you, if you were involved in that challenge in December, making 3 videos a day for 30 days, are you still doing that? Ask yourself, are you still doing that? Or did you just do it for the 30 days and you got some momentum and then you stopped doing it? All right. These are the things. These are the things that kill your business. So for her, 20 texts a day, and her goal is to move them from the text to the email list. To the email list. And I'm not talking about the canned email crap. Okay. You have to learn how to talk to your audience on a personal level, because what we do with our real estate business is what, if you listen to influencers and people who sell courses and products and coaching, that's a different type of marketing. That is a completely different type of marketing. You have wide ranges of targeting for that, but you don't for real estate. And real estate marketing is a completely different animal. I don't care who you talk to. It is a completely different animal. You are not dealing with someone who is pulling the trigger and making an instant decision to buy a $10 product. You're dealing with people who are making the decision of their life, right? You need to bring them into your world, and put them under your wing so that they'll reach out to you, okay? When they're ready to list or sell or even buy, okay? All right. Any questions? Let me know if you got any questions. Let me know. I'm curious to know what you're doing in your businesses. What are you doing to generate business? Because you have to be even specific, even if you're going to run targeted ads. The only reason why I run targeted ads today, for example, is that when I have a listing, and I've got listings, so they're running now, but when I don't have a listing, I drive traffic into my public groups. Okay, so there's a hint for you. Create the audience, make the offer, convert the sale. Okay, drive traffic into your group, drive traffic to your, it's a lot easier to drive traffic to a group than it is to a page or even a website these days. Everybody's willing to jump into a group, so build your group. Okay, make sure you've got a very targeted, specific group, okay, for the avatar you want to attract. And I'm not talking about having, a dog group or even a cooking group. I mean, if you want to attract listings and sellers and buyers, you have to have something very specific to real estate. And there's all kinds of them out there. It's not rocket science. Just go ahead and jump on your Facebook search and start searching for housing groups and stuff and see what the names of them are and see how big they are and see that you can build that too. Okay, so reach out to me if you think that's the direction you want to take for your business. Okay, all right. I think I've jumped off my horse here. Unless people have questions, let me know. We're supposed to talk about targeted ads, but I'm going to be honest with you. Targeting for real estate ads right now, like I said, go ahead and just target your group, put it out there to drive traffic to your group, because I don't want anybody wasting money, certainly on buyer ads or really even listing ads, because, listing and sellers are going to reach out to who they're comfortable with, so just focus on bringing them into your world and build a relationship, and they're going to call you. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.